This Albion Online video is about Albion Online 2 and what it would need to succeed, and this can apply to really any MMORPG or just MMORPGs in general, not just Albion Online. But since I happen to play this game a lot, we're just going to talk about Albion Online 2. What is an MMORPG like Albion Online 2? What does it need to succeed? Let's talk about it. Number one, it must be free to play. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, with the way video games are going, if your game ships or launches with a price tag, it is almost entirely dead on arrival, with the few exceptions of being a AAA game or a game backed by hundreds of millions of dollars of advertising, okay? Look in the past 3 to 4 years at post-COVID, all the games that have come out, most games are launching to like 3,000 players, 2,000 players, 5,000 players, if they're even lucky. It's rare for an MMORPG, an indie game, or anything of the sort to launch to more than 5 player count digits, okay? So, in order for a game to do very well and have a very large player base, which is mandatory for MMORPGs to work, it must be free to play. And I know there's the argument, but a subscription fee or a money fee, it keeps all the degenerates out. Listen, having all types of players in a game is what makes it great. If you went into town right now in Albion Online and there was like 2 people, and then you went out in the open world and it took you 2 hours to find another player, yeah, sure, you and that person that paid $30 and then $15 a month might enjoy the game a bit more, but when I play an MMORPG, I want to see hundreds of people everywhere all the time. I like this. I like that there's a whole lot of people here standing around in town, running around, doing their daily whatever it is they are. When you play an MMORPG and the towns are empty, the overworld is empty, the dungeons are empty, you don't encounter other players, it feels lonely, it feels boring. It's like, why am I not just playing a single player game instead? But no, in order to have this amount of players, and check out this guy's mount. See, like you see like interesting people all the time, right? This is probably no, it's the Frost Horse. Okay, cool. He that's a whale. But essentially, having people running around makes the game feel alive, even though this guy's name is literally Gordita Golosa 69, and I might not speak his language. He probably speaks Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. It's still nice to have him around. Okay, don't think that other players are a detriment to your experience, because it's better than having no one at all. Number 2, and we have seen this throughout time, it must be one server. You must have all the players, even if it's in the millions, all on a single server. Here's why. Think of every MMORPG you've ever played where there was different servers. Servers die, servers become huge cliques. They become huge, like one guild is basically the whole server and everyone else out in the guild suffers. Arcade suffered from this. Arcade, if you played on Arcade back in the day, you'll notice that usually a mega clan controlled the entire server and everyone else that wasn't in the clan didn't have as much fun. You'll notice this in games like New World, where servers would die and have like a player count of 60 because one mega clan took over the whole server and it was unfun for everyone else that they all left. World of Warcraft, even, if you picked the wrong server and everyone quit or died or there was a faction imbalance, it was no fun. So the only real way for games, for MMOs in 2025 and beyond to succeed, it must be one server. And Albion Online used to have this, and they failed, and they split the servers, and the game's been more lonely and boring and just not as much drama, not as much live action stuff going on ever since. I don't know anyone that likes the server splits. I know people that like the ping. People like having better ping. Well, you know what? There's an MMORPG called Apogea. It's still in beta. And there is regions in the world where different regions are better suited for different pings in different regions. So, for instance, in Apogea, in the northeastern part of the world, is the European servers. And so if you travel to that area as an American, you will have higher ping in that part of the world. All right? Whereas in the southwest part of the world, on Apogea, is the United States servers. So you would have a lower ping when you're in that part of the world. And Albion Online or any MMORPG can easily do this, but most of the time it's due to lazy devs. I believe There was a dev talk, a dev Q&A, where this was brought up a long time ago for Albion, and they said it was technological limitations, yet other games can do this, then Albion can absolutely do it. And no, it's not a Unity restriction, all right? Must be one server, this is mandatory. Number 3 is a bit broad, but the game must have PvP. This is mandatory, all right? I'm going to talk about the other stuff on the screen in just a sec, but PvP, a game, an MMORPG, you need to have PvP. You need to give players a reason to play the game. Back in the day, 2005, I would have never, ever played World of Warcraft over other PvP games if it didn't have PvP. When I played World of Warcraft, my goal in the game was to level up to 60 and get good gear so I could go beat people up. My goal in Albion, level up, get good gear, go beat people up. My goal in Diablo 2, when I was a teenager, or a preteen, I think I was like 10 or 11, Diablo 2, I heard about this magical game called Diablo 2. And one of the biggest, coolest thing I thought about in the game was that you can go do dungeons, you can kill monsters, you can get loot, and then you can go fight other players. And when you beat them in a PvP situation, you get their ear as a little trophy. And I thought that was the coolest thing. Imagine if Diablo 2 just didn't have PvP. Imagine if World of Warcraft did not have any PvP at all. You just played the game and slayed a dragon once a week, and that was basically it. Go skin boars and make your money go up. Like, who cares? The whole point of getting gear in MMORPGs is to beat people up with it. The whole point to spend thousands of hours in these games is to get your character strong enough so that you can bully and beat up and torment other players, all right? That's the entire point of these games. Imagine if Fortnite didn't have PvP. Well, I think it started with no PvP. It was just like a little zombie tower defense game or something, right? A little, like, base defense game. And then, hey, they added PvP, and oh my god, it's the most popular game at some point. All right, imagine Roblox. I don't even play Roblox, but I watch people play Roblox. And the funniest things that I've seen currently in the past, like, couple days, it's called Steal a Brain Rot. You join a server, and you have a little base that generates money. But it has PvP. You go to other people's bases, and you take their ballerina cappuccino or their bombadillo crocodillo. You take it away from them and you run it back to your base, and now you generate more money. All right? Without that, these funny clips would never arise. These interesting moments would never be publicized. You need PvP in your game. When people play a game, imagine if you played chess or checkers and you weren't fighting other people. You were like fighting the NPC on the board, and there was other players that you played chess with, but you weren't fighting them, you were fighting the NPCs. It would never be where it's at today. Every game ever is a PvP game. Monopoly is a board game with PvP, all right? Like, I think maybe Life? I've never played the board game Life, but I don't think it has PvP. I think that's a PvE board game. How many people do you know that play Life? Huh? Uno, that's a PvP game. Draw 4 cards. Get screwed over, Buster. All right. Now, let's talk about the other ones on the list. PvE. If your game is only PvP, it's going to alienate a large chunk of the audience. Okay, think of Rust. Yeah, Rust technically has PvE, but people that want to PvE, they don't play Rust, right? When I think of Rust, I think of build a base and go torment somebody and just troll them, all right? I don't think of, hey, let's go do Nuke Silo. Let's go do the whatchamacallit, the big shipping container boat. Yes, there is PvE activities, which give you gear so you can PvP in Rust. But if Rust was just a PvE game, I don't think anyone would play it. I don't think anyone would. And yes, I know there's PvE servers and there's people on them, so obviously some people would play it, but think about it. The majority of people don't want to just PvE, all right? Next up is solo viability. Now, this one's important for the current times. If you went back to 2003, why does the shadows disappear? Look at my screen. The shadows disappear. Why is that? Anyway, the solo viability of a game. If you have a great MMORPG, like I think Throne and Liberty is pretty cool. I like Throne and Liberty. It's not very solo viable, though. It's got very minimal solo viability. I just simply won't play it because there's nothing to do as a solo player. I don't want to join a guild. I don't want to fart sniff. I don't want to coattail ride. I don't want to bend the knee and suck toes. 92% of all gamers in the current generation are solo players. Most people in real life, most Zoomers and Gen A and even millennials, most of them don't have any friends. Statistically, people don't make friends anymore. Statistically, people don't have friends. They don't have comrades. They don't have people that they've connected with or bonded with. All right? And I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about statistically, the majority of people. All right? So if your game lacks solo viability, as in something for a solo player to log in and do for hours a day, it will not work. All right? Next up is low effort endless content. In Albion, I would consider this like blue, yellow zone gathering, safe zone mob grinding and stuff like that. It doesn't take a lot of effort. I don't have to have my eyes peeled to the screen to get something done. A lot of other games, this would be something like an auto battler or an auto chess or just some sort of idle mini game where you stand around and your character's doing a thing and you click it once in a while and you get something done. You get a little prize for it. Yes, your game can have high-effort stuff, that's very hard to do. It can have really difficult and intricate raid boss mechanics. Sure, absolutely fine. However, for a game to succeed, it needs low-effort content. It needs something that if you can't sleep, you have heartburn, you're stuck awake, you're very groggy, you don't want to put any brain power or mental effort into anything, that you can just log into the game and mindlessly do something to pass the time until you feel better. Like, imagine you're sick, you're sick and you just want to lay in bed and do something, okay? You're not playing like a really highly competitive game in that kind of environment. You're going to sit in the bed and you're going to play something that takes almost no effort to play, like Mario Party maybe, though that game is kind of medium effort, I guess, depending on the minigame. But you get what I'm saying. Your game needs something that's just low effort to pass the time. It doesn't have to be the most rewarding thing, obviously, but your game needs low effort content. All right, it's just something that you can log in and go bang out for a few hours. All right, if it doesn't have that, it's dead. Number 4 is gear and progression must be achievable by all player types. The solo player, the guild player, the hardcore player, the PvPer, the PvEer, the gatherer, etc., etc. Now, Albion does an amazing, absolutely fantastic job of this. All right, and I'll explain. But first, let's talk about World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft Classic or WoW Vanilla. All right, in World of Warcraft, to level to 60, it's faster to do it in a group than it is solo. It's also faster to do it via questing. And that's high effort, that's high energy, that's, you have to investigate and use add-ons and look up guides, all right? Yeah, you can mindlessly grind in WoW eventually to get level cap, and so that would be achievable by all player types, right? Arcage, you can level up to level cap without ever doing combat. You can just gather your way to level cap. I did it once. I made a character, and all I did on that character was chop trees, and I hit level cap. I didn't do any quests. I didn't kill any mobs. I just went out and chopped trees, and my character hit level cap. Now, Albion Online, gear and progression. All right, if you want to level up your fame farming, you kill mobs. There are plenty of solo viable options. Yes, doing groups and yes, doing world bosses with a big raid group is the best fame farm in the game. However, solo players have really, really good fame farms. So they can level up by themselves without needing any assistance from anybody. And the gear grind, too, in World of Warcraft to get the best gear in the game. You have to join a guild. You have to do the raid bosses. Your guild has to succeed at doing the raid bosses. And your guild has to survive and thrive and get along with each other for 6 months to a year in the hopes that the gear that you want from the raid bosses drops. And raid bosses have a 1-week timer. So if you kill the big dragon lady and she doesn't drop the helmet that you want, you're out of luck until possibly 6 months down the line when it does drop. And then you have to hope that your guild lets you get it or you win the role for the item and so on and so forth. This is an abysmal, terrible way to progress a character because if you don't do guilds, if you're a solo player, if you don't like spending 6 whole months with luck-based loot, as in, if the loot never drops, you never get it. This is a terrible gear progression system. Whereas in Albion, I can pick up rocks off the ground. naked, with nothing. And if I pick up enough of these rocks, I can afford to go buy the best weapon in the game. I literally can just go to the market and buy an 8.4 weapon. Now, in order to like buy this energy shaper, you know, it's 61 million, okay? So 61,500,000 silver divided by 250 silver when I picked up those rocks. This means I would have to pick up 246,000 rocks. Well, that's an achievable goal. That is something that I can do over time without luck being on my side. I can just go and knock it out and get it done. Now, obviously, picking up rocks, rough stone for that many would be pretty wild, okay? But when you look at the market of Albion, rough stone in each town, there's about 148,000 of them selling a day. A day, all right? So obviously, money is adding up somewhere, okay? And yeah, that's an achievable goal. You can see over 5 years, you know, like you will acquire lots of wealth over time. You don't have to rely on toe-sucking a guild. You don't have to rely on luck being on your side for a magical rare dragon to drop a magical rare item, and then your entire guild is like, yeah, you can have it, bro. It's yours. You earned it, okay? So, MMORPGs, it's fine to have guilds get rewarded for killing the big spooky raid boss. That's totally fine. And it's okay for them to progress faster than a solo player. However, gatekeeping your gear and progression to require you to be forced into groups and do these activities is an absolute no-go and will kill your MMORPG. Number 5, the graphics must not be too terrible or too good. Now, here's why. If the graphics are absolutely garbage, crap, terrible, people will just never even pick up the game. They will take one look at the game and be like, ew, no thanks, this game looks like ass. And then they will just go play something else, okay? Whereas if the graphics are too good, then only people with absolute amazing monster PCs can play it. You know how many people play Albion because they can run it? You can literally run this game on a fridge. You can run this game on a smart fridge. I'm not joking, okay? So yeah, if the game looks too good, you basically gatekeep the player base from playing it. If it looks too bad, people will never give it a chance, okay? I think Albion looks absolutely terrible, and I have the graphics all the way up. And, you know, for similar games, for similar graphic games, it plays nicely, but the game could really use a modern look. It could use a completely different art direction. There's a lot of things, like the Mystic Owl doesn't look too bad, right? Lots of different colors, you know, decent, you know, artistic flair. But imagine this in, and no, not Unreal Engine or anything of the sort, but its own, like imagine if Albion was a third-person game and not an, like, over-the-top game. Imagine something that looked better than Ashes of Creation or something of the sort, right? I think that would attract a lot more people to the game, because a lot of people that I show this game or even talk about the game, they just see it and they're like, ew, gross, nasty. No, I don't want to play this. This game is outdated, okay? And those same people will go play WoW Classic, which is from 2005. That's really saying something. Your game has to look somewhat decent, okay? Number 6, the music has to be good. If the music and sound effects of your game suck, then people won't play it. There are so many MMORPGs that have really good graphics, but the music is just garbage. The music is terrible. New World had some of the best gathering sound effects in any game ever. If you went and chopped a tree in a forest, you could hear the tree thud noise from your axe echoing throughout the valley, the colony, the cave area, the forest, whatever. The sound design in that game was absolute, like, god tier, alright? Then you have World of Warcraft Classic. The music in that game was phenomenal. I could just, like, immediately identify a lot of songs in that game. Like, Elwyn Forest was very mystique and magical. Stormwind, oh, that hit hard. Orgrimmar was a good theme. There was so many good musical themes. Even the Barrens had, you know, a theme that matched the feel. It was very, oh, we're out here, we're doing stuff, it's whatever. You know, it's kind of a boring plains area. But hey, the music's still there, okay? Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel has some of the hardest hitting music in any freaking card game ever. And that game really made you feel like it's a freaking Yu-Gi-Oh card game, okay? Think about that for a second. But the music made you feel like the stakes were high. It made you feel like you're in trouble, or you're free. Like, the music would kick up whenever you're winning, or it would, like, get serious when you're losing. And it's like, it really gave you that feel, that impact. It made the entire, it's a freaking card game, but it made the world feel complete, all right? And, like Throne and Liberty had really good music. It had really fucking freaking good music, okay? But who's added me to friends list, dude? Pass the questionnaire. But if your game has oopity-doopity, crappity, you know, bleeps and bloops music, your game's dead. Your game is freaking dead on arrival. Albion Online, the music is okay. It's passable. You know, they got a live orchestra to do it, so that's good enough. That's good enough, bro. Number 7 is the control scheme. Controls must not be utter garbage. If you make a modern MMORPG and it does not have WASD movement, as in like this, I'm not clicking. I'm using, you know, arrow keys here, but you get the idea. Like Bitcraft is a recent MMO that is early access, and the controls are garbage. You have to point and click to move, and they saw that they lost tens of thousands of players because of this. And they are desperately scrambling to get WASD controls into that game. It will kill your game if the controls are bad. Like, the way you should think of it like this. World of Warcraft had really good controls. That game came from 2004. If your game does not have good or equal to or better controls than that, then there's no point in even bothering until it is. If your game controls like ass, people will feel it, and they simply won't play. One of the recent games that I played, what's it called? I gotta look it up. Hold on. It starts with a D. Let's see. Dracantos. Point and click. The movement felt really bad according to literally everybody, and people simply won't play it because of that. Apogea has really bad inventory management. I hate that. You know that game Project Zomboid? Not really an MMO. I refuse to play it because the controls are just that bad. The controls are so bad in Project Zomboid, I will never give that game a chance. I will never give that game the respect it probably deserves. I heard it's a good game. I love watching YouTube videos about it, but the controls are just so bad. I can't be bothered to learn it. I can't be bothered to get accustomed to it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to play it. I'll go play something that's more comfortable to play. And think of every modern, like, MOBA shooter or just shooting game in general. If your controls aren't equal to or on par with Fortnite, people don't bother. They're like, I'd rather just go play Fortnite. It feels better in my hands. Now, this one's a little bit debatable, but your MMO must be medieval fantasy or sci-fi future. No in between, and a lot of people may recognize this from Korean MMOs, where you're playing a medieval fantasy game where you chop wood, and villages have rinky-dinky houses, and there's blacksmiths. But for some stupid freaking reason, everyone unlocks special skins and mount abilities that turn your mount into a freaking motor vehicle, into a car, and where there's giant, like, stuffed animals everywhere, and cutesy, futuristic slop. And it completely ruins the feel of the game. Imagine if in Albion Online, you went into town, and everyone had boom boxes, electric guitars, and motorized car vehicles, arcade machines, and cyberpunk crap on the side, like as a skin unlock, right? No, what I'm seeing is medieval shit. This guy's in plate armor. This guy's on a horse. He's on a cat. And this is a bear. Not a car, not a plane, not a jet engine, not with futuristic laser guns and lightsabers. This is medieval fantasy stuff right here. The theme matches. Now, if I'm playing a medieval fantasy game, I want to see medieval fantasy stuff. If I'm playing a sci-fi future tech game, I don't want to see medieval fantasy stuff. You have these future tech MMOs where everyone's in space suits and laser guns, but then a guy has a knight sword, or a dude's riding a horse. And you're like, bro, we have hoverboards and motorcycles, and you're riding a horse. Why? And yes, this is directly pointing at that stupid freaking game that's trying to compete with Albion. I forget the name. It's Chinese. Whatever. But on to the next point. All right, number 9 is no woke and weird stuff. Okay, Look, if it's like June and everything's rainbow flagged up, this pushes more people away from the game than brings into it. There are certain games that act as containment games for what I would call the woke crowd or the left crowd, and that would be Final Fantasy XIV. All right, that's one of them. OSRS is another one. There's a bunch of containment games, okay? But unless you want your game to be a containment game, don't bother, all right? It's going to push more people away. There are a lot of people that will not even touch your game if you freaking bend the knee to the wrong crowd, all right? And you'll like, yeah, if you go too far on the other side, that also hurts the game. Just be neutral. Just be centrist. Just don't be woke and don't be far-right extremist, okay? Yeah, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Haha, love funny. It's talking about her genes and not her genetics, or is it? Who knows? Who cares? Who gives a damn, right? Don't push on either way. Just make a cool game, and it's okay if your cool medieval game has a far right-winged evil racism knight character that the players can fight as a raid boss. And it's cool if an NPC has rainbow hair colors and a fruity sidekick or something. But don't make the entire game around it. Don't make all the characters one side or the other. Just keep them normal. Just keep things normal and people will play your game. Now, this take is going to be a little bit more controversial, but American made. Out of all the countries where people can make games, I have noticed that American-made MMOs tend to not only last the longest, they also have the fairest pricing and whatnot, but also the least amount of ridiculous moderation, and the least amount of pay-to-win, cash shop slop, and regulations, all right? There are, out of every MMO ever made, the Brazilian ones, the Turkish ones, the American ones massively outperform the Chinese, Korean, Japanese. All right, and the Russian ones are pretty good too. I'm gonna tell you right now, the Russians do it really nicely with their MMOs. Okay, so no gripe there. But the East Asian MMOs, they have so much pay to win. They have so many weird policies, and just if your game is an American made in English first as a first language, then essentially you're getting mistranslations. You're getting late updates. Like recently, there's a game that's not even an MMO. It's Persona 5X. The Korean, China, and Japan release follows a completely different release timeline and reward structure than the Western release. All right, and why is that? Oh, Americans have more money, so we're gonna milk them for more cash shop slop. It's asinine. All right. For an MMO to truly be the greatest, it really needs to be American-made. And, I think Albion does a good job for being German-made. But the original cast that made the game, way back in the day, I'm talking the OG people, way before Robin Henke's and stuff, okay? Those guys wanted to make a freedom of speech game where you could literally talk smack, and it was allowed, and you could act boisterously in the game. They even openly said this in interviews and on Ask Me Anything posts. But they all quit. They took the bag. They got replaced. And the current people that resided within the game kind of went a little to babysitter mode, so to speak. So, most American-made games, the thing, too, with them is like American MMOs, they're kind of hands-off, all right? With Albion, a lot of the inner circles of the devs and the early, benefactors, they have a huge sway over the game and the public. Like, when I ganked Nozori in a yellow zone, and he flagged up on me, so it was really me defending myself, he could phone up a game master at 2 in the morning on a Saturday and get me banned for a week. Well, no one can really do that with American-made MMOs. You can't just phone up the American company and get some game master on the line and ban someone. And, okay, I know this happened once in World of Warcraft Classic, but that guy was a known botter anyway. And, it is what it is. But that guy's dad also worked for Blizzard, and you probably know who I'm talking about with that meme. But anyway, the point that I'm getting at is it happens a lot more on other nation MMOs than American ones. And I'm just doing this for fair play, for cheapness, and, you know, for freedom of speech reasons. Number 11 is no pay to win. This one is pretty obvious, but if your game has pay to win mechanics, oh look, Bandit Assault. You know what? If I want to do really good in Bandit Assault, I better swipe my card, get some silver, and buy the best gear possible. Even though I may not be the best PvPer, and someone who's really good or runs a counter build can just take my money away, it's still pay to win. I just won because I got good gear. If I can materialize an in-game item with real money, that's pay to win. If I can pay real money to skip a grind, that's pay to win. If I can pay real money to access parts of the game that aren't allowed, that's pay to win. So OSRS, there's a whole part of the game that you can't even get to as a free-to-play player. That means that game is pay to win. Albion Online, if I want to level something up, I can buy gold, which can buy me silver, which can buy me Tomes of Insight, or Gathering Tomes, which can level me up and make me stronger. That's pay to win, because that gives me an inherent advantage over someone who cannot pay real money. So in order for your game to succeed, do you know how many more people would play Albion if it wasn't pay to win? I talk to a lot of people. I hear a lot of discussions outside of the game. I'm not stuck in a bubble like people may think. Every time Albion Online is brought up, the first and main complaint is that it's pay to win. That is the main number one complaint this game has, is that it's pay to win. People do not want to invest their time into a game where some rich guy, you know, can just pay money and skip everything that we have to actually play the game to get. It feels bad, all right? Most people that play games aren't very well off in the real world, though that is kind of changing a bit, because games are catering more towards the rich than the poor and the downtrodden, which sucks and is sad to say, but it will immediately turn people off from the game if there's pay-to-win elements. I don't mind the pay-to-win slop in Albion. I really don't care. It doesn't affect me too much. It does affect me in some ways, especially when it comes to Gathering. Like, if there was zero pay-to-win at all, Gathering would be way more lucrative than it currently is. But when games have pay-to-win, especially with more egregious pay-to-win like Diablo Immortal and Hearthstone, and I know those aren't MMOs, but you get the idea. It turns even more people away from it, all right? So Albion, it's skirting the line, but it is technically pay-to-win. End of simple as. Even though the CEO, the former CEO, literally told MMORPG.com, no, we're not pay-to-win at all, blah, 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 blah. Right? Yeah, you're pay-to-win, dude. Number 12 is heavy cheat and bot enforcement. One insanely fast way to kill your game is when it becomes infested with bots. You remember what happened to Lost Ark? There was thousands, I'm talking like 30 to 40,000 bots in that game, and they were all speed hacking, and they were no-clip hacking. And New World had such a bad bot problem, and it still does, that so many bots were gathering resources that the resource prices on the markets went down to 1 copper, all right, or 1 gold, or whatever the currency in that game was. 1, okay? If I could go out for hours when the game was healthy and farm like 10,000 rugged hides and sell those for like 70 to 100 each, but then I come back to the game and they're worth 1 because there's a million bots farming it 24/7. Yes, I know there are literally people out there that's like, bots are good for the game because they drive the prices down so I don't have to grind. Well, one of the reasons I play MMOs is so I can do virtual labor and get paid for it. Which means I want to gather. I want to go mining. I want to go break the stone. I want to go pick the herbs. And I want my character to be enriched for doing so. Whereas you, Mr. Pay to Win, oh, the bots are good, guy, you find that laborious and boring. And you would rather just card swipe for money or RMT for money and then spend your money advancing your character instead. Well, I don't have that privilege, and I don't like doing that. Even if I did, even if I was like a billionaire, if I was like Elon Musk in real life, I wouldn't RMT. I literally wouldn't. All right, I might card swipe a little bit in Albion, a little bit, just a little bit, but no, nah, dude. But the quickest way to kill your game is cheats and bots. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I would have never came to Albion if World of Warcraft had good bot enforcement. I left World of Warcraft. I stopped playing it because of the bots, because of the cheats. It wasn't just bots, it was a combination of both cheaters and bots. How do you cheat in World of Warcraft? Well, In World of Warcraft Classic, bots would literally fly in the air, teleport around, and gather everything. They would vacuum up everything. There were people that were running bots that would do dungeon services. There were people paying Chinese bots to kill other bots over and over and over at level 9 to stack the amount of active PvPers on the server so that they could get to rank 14, which was a PvP rank thing. And if I even dared touch the bots, if I even dared attack the bots at all or try to disrupt the bots, they would have highly geared PvPers 24/7 camping the zone constantly. Someone in chat was being a troublemaker. Constantly camping the zone to defend the bots, and then they would try to smear and slander my name for attacking the bots. And the majority of people on these servers wanted the bots. No, the bots are unfair. You're paying hundreds of dollars to run these bots, and it's making my life unfair because I can't pay for the bots. I'm not going to pay for the bots. I don't play games to bot, ever. Bots ruin the game. Like, think of every game you've ever played where there's bots, right? If you go on Albion Online Asia server, you're going to see a blob of like 40 characters moving all at the same time. That's multi-boxing. That's still cheating for the most. It's literally cheating. If the game allows it, it can have some funny moments. Like in World of Warcraft, there was a guy that multi-boxed 40 mages. And so he would just run in a big blob of mages and cast AoE spells and blow everyone up. It was funny, and the dude was constantly on cocaine and constantly drunk. And he streamed it. And it was funny, but it was very unfair. Because, I should only have to fight one mage, not 40 mages, okay? But, he was paying 40 accounts worth, and whatever. The point is that cheating in games, like right now, radar hack. I don't go to black zones, I don't go to mists because of radar hack. Gathering is heavily nerfed for me because I'm not running a radar hack that shows me where all the good resources are around me. All right? And people are like, radar hack can only render from so far. Yes. It can render beyond nameplate range, off screen, that I can't see. If I use a Sky Strider bow and leap into the air, that radar hack can still see further than I can. Okay? It's cheating. It's unfair. It makes the game suck. It makes people quit the game. It's not just my tastes, it's in general. People will not play your game if there are bots and cheaters plaguing it. It's really that simple. Number 13 is guilds must have zero control over the game world. And you may be thinking, but at Albion, they control the black zones. And yes, they do. They have, look at this, they have this little territory. They have these hideouts. This puts me, a solo player, at an insane disadvantage to be in this zone, because if you're in this guild, if you have these hideouts or access to these hideouts, you have safe zones, you have protection, you have walls, you have NPCs that will fight on your behalf. All right. Now, Albion Online's guild control over the game is very minimal compared to other MMOs, and I'm going to talk about it. All right. So, New World. In New World, one mega clan will take over the entire server and then tax everyone on the server as high as possible, making the game completely insufferable to play if you are not in this guild. All right, that's how New World was. It killed servers. People would leave servers, and then the mega clan that killed the server would then join another server and kill that server. I would know because I was in a top guild for New World, and we killed off 3 servers before everyone got bored and quit. And it caused a massive population decline. Think of a game like Foxhole. That game can barely get 2,000 to 4,000 people total, all right, on like 2 to 3 servers. The reason why is that guilds and clans have almost absolute complete control over the game world. If you are a solo player and you run to the front lines to fight, guilds will literally team kill you. They will literally mass report you and get you kicked off the game via the automated report system, so that they can get their clan members in on that fight that you are taking up space in. In Albion Online, if I go somewhere, even in a red zone, all right, or mostly the black zone, if there is what's called cluster queue, and I'm not in the guilds that are fighting at that moment in time, the game will literally kick me out of the zone. That sucks. It's not fun. It sucks. There are so many games with, like Arcade. The top clan owns the castle areas and Hasla, I forget the names of the zones, but Essentially, if you weren't in that top clan, it's miserable to farm in those zones, and they were kind of mandatory at some point if you really want to advance your gear in that game. There are so many games with so many examples where guilds and clans controlling zones make it insufferable for literally everyone else in the game to play. If there's a really good farm zone that's an open world zone, and you're not in the guild, and you're not in a big Zerg, then you can never farm there because you'll just get hunted down and killed over and over and over again, making it absolute misery to play. Alright? So, guilds. It's okay to give guilds their own separate little playground, playpen, sandbox. Albion Online mostly does this with the Black Zone, alright? Solo players, we don't go to the Black Zone. There's no reason for us to go there and pal around. Guilds, they can go do all the things guilds do. But you see, even with the guilds doing what they do in their own separate area, you can still see the problem with it. They handhold, they RMT, they win trade, they do all sorts of scummy, weird things. And so in order for a game to just not have any of these bad things happen, you just can't let guilds have any control over the world itself. None. Guilds are fine to group up and do group things, but if they have influence or power to gatekeep solo players from doing something, then it's inherently bad for everyone that isn't in that guild, which would mean it's bad for the majority of players. Anyway, that's all I've got. Thanks for listening, and let me know what you want to see next. You gotta leave a comment. It's 2025. If you don't leave a comment, YouTube's gonna think you're a child, alright? And then you'll get locked out of watching your favorite videos. Also, click the video on the right side of your screen, because if you don't, then what's gonna happen is you're going to have half as much energy in the next 2 days, and you won't get much work done, alright? Be it exercise or anything that you're trying to do in your life, alright? And finally, I just want to talk real quick about something. Coming August 13th or 16th, I forget the exact date, gaming YouTubers might be in trouble, and I don't even really make enough on this platform to survive anyway. I literally do not earn enough money to pay bills and eat basic food. And so if this change nerfs the income even more due to all of the laws that are suddenly springing up, the totalitarian laws. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. That are springing up all over the world suddenly. Like Australia, you can't watch YouTube if you're not 16. United States, you got to verify your ID and crap like that. UK, you got to verify your ID for literally every website ever. Things are getting bad. And so, it could be the end. It could be the end. Here's the thing, right? I'll try to go get a wagey job. Right now, the best paying area, they're hiring at $8 an hour. Okay, that's not enough to pay bills either. But, maybe I can work 2 of those jobs. That's 80 hours. And then I have to exercise 2 on top of that. So if I'm spending, 2 hours, 2 or 6, 8, 10. So, yeah, 90, I would have to take away 90 of my hours from doing YouTube to survive, essentially. And that means less videos for everybody. Less videos just all around. And if that happens, I'm sorry. But I'm not like these other YouTubers or these other streamers that have a big, wealthy, powerful family with connections. I'm poor. I'm from the ghetto. I grew up in hotels. I grew up in trailer parks. I don't have any education. I don't have any capacity for education. I don't have any connections. I'm not lucky in life. I don't know a guy. I don't have any way of really sustaining myself, or, like I said, no capacity for education, so I can't just go get an education and make big moolah bucks, okay? It might be over, guys. Like, the fun might be over, and when that happens, because it's happened before, like, I've had other YouTube channels, and at most I could upload maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe once a month if I was lucky, and those channels did okay for the time, but you're gonna see less uploads coming from me if it happens, and I'll let you know. I'll make an entire video explaining the meta of YouTube and the changes that are happening. But a lot of people are saying this is game over for gaming channels. Okay, and I'm a gaming channel. Okay, I could try to do politics, but I don't know nothing about politics, and no one's gonna watch that anyway. And the people that do get big views on politics, they're all connected through Hollywood and other connections, and they're just front man for a bigger corporation anyway. I'm not connected. I don't have multi-channel networks. I'm not part of a talent agency or anything, and none of those people like me. I don't take any of the sponsorship deals. I literally send fart noises to every sponsorship I get. I think it could be over. I'll make a video if it is over, but I just want to take a little bit of your time and let you know what's going on and what might be happening. And I appreciate you guys watching. I'll still try to upload if I am, if I have to go work 3 freaking wagey jobs, but yeah, I'm gonna be so low energy and miserable and unhealthy, and you're gonna see it, right? Well, anyway, see you later.